when I look at the matchup between Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, I have to pick Mac Jones right now. It's simply just he's on a better team. And the way that I see it, it's not to discredit Trevor. Trevor, I think, is a very talented quarterback. He's coming into his own, and, it's tough being in the situation that he is with Jacksonville just because, well, let's face it, the Jags are a tire fire. Now, granted, I think they'll be in a better position this upcoming season since Urban Meyer's no longer the head coach. Doug Peterson is there. I think they're in a position where they have nowhere to go but up. But whatever sort of strides that the Jags make with Trevor Lawrence at the helm this year, I don't think that it's going to outdo what Mac Jones and the Patriots are going to do. I mean, let's just kind of look at the depth charts when it comes to both teams. And you have Mac Jones, and then when it comes to his wideouts to throw to, he's got Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, he's got Jacoby Myers, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. I mean, those are 5 legitimate targets to be able to throw to on a consistent basis. And then when you look at Trevor Lawrence, I got to pull up their depth chart real quick. He's going to be able to throw to Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram. Now, on paper, that's not necessarily that bad. He actually has some decent targets to throw to. But when you look at the production that Mac Jones has over Trevor Lawrence from this past season, granted they've only played in the NFL for one season, Mac is better based on what they did last year. Now, granted, people will say, oh, well, the Jags had a terrible year because of Urban Meyer. And I take that point very credibly. It is a worthwhile point to make. However, I do think that Mac Jones, with the cast that he has around him, with the coach that he has behind him, just the overall system it's in a much better place for Mac to be able to thrive in than Trevor. Trevor's already gone through a coaching carousel within his first 2 years, which is something that you really never want with a young quarterback that's just trying to find his rhythm. Overall, I do think that both quarterbacks are going to take incremental strides to become better quarterbacks this upcoming season. They're only in year 2. They still have a long way to go. But overall, I got to pick Mac Jones over Trevor Lawrence in this upcoming season. It's not to say that Trevor Lawrence isn't going to have his successes. He will. I just think that Mac Jones will have more just because I think better coach, better system to roll with, and I think he has a better cast of targets to be able to throw to. Trevor, I think, will improve. I think he'll have more touchdowns than interceptions. That's something that you can't say from last year. But with Mac Jones, you can say that. He had more touchdowns. I believe he had 22 to 13 interceptions. Trevor had 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. I just got to pick Mac at this current moment in time. And I granted, people can look behind and see my wall and say, yeah, like I'm a Patriot fan. But I'm looking this objectively. Mac is in a better system. Trevor isn't. And I do believe that Mac's skill set in that system is going to produce much more beneficial results than what Trevor's going to be able to produce in Jacksonville. To me, this is pretty simple. This is pretty cut and concise as far as I'm concerned.
I get so frustrated because people get lost in the moment of the name Trevor Lawrence, right? We've talked about this personally. Everyone's infatuated with what Trevor did in college. This ain't Clemson anymore. This isn't the ACC. He's not the top prospect anymore. Now he's an NFL quarterback that has to produce as a number 1 pick, and he has not. Like Kyle said, it's only 1 year. We understand that Urban Meyer was a dumpster fire of a head coach. You got Doug in there, right? Doug Peterson is a successful coach who has won a Super Bowl and has been able to coach Nick Foles, Carson Wentz when he was productive, even to a certain extent. Jalen Hurts had some early success before they let him go. But what I'm saying is, like Kyle alluded to, the staff is still trash. The receiving core is still not good. Your best player is a career averaging in terms of statistics, what? 12 yards per catch. We're looking at freaking, oh my goodness, I can't even read. A career total of 2,900 yards over the course of 4 years. He's a career number 3 receiver in Arizona, and you go and you give him the contract that he did. Then you have Marvin Jones, another receiver known to be a number 2/number 3. Nobody big, nobody tall. And then you have Zay Jones, Shenault, Treadwell. There's no one that jumps off this depth chart that's going to say this receiver is going to save Trevor Lawrence's career. Nobody here is going to say that. Everybody's just stuck. Well, Trevor Lawrence went to Clemson and he was a god. Trevor Lawrence was the greatest quarterback we've seen since Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning in college and in high school. Drop it. The hype is gone. He played in the league. He had a bad year. Now he's got to bounce back. Will he have a better year than last year? I mean, I would hope so. But if he doesn't, it's not going to be a surprise. They don't have a good team in Jacksonville. I am a Colts fan. I don't say it biasly. The Jags suck. Sure, do they beat us every year in Jacksonville before someone comes at me sideways in the comments? I acknowledge that. For whatever reason, we cannot win in Jacksonville, and we haven't been able to do it in 8 years. Doesn't mean that they've been relevant in the last couple seasons. 3-14 last year with their golden boy, Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones plays on the New England Patriots. Mac Jones has Bill Belichick. Mac Jones has 2 potential Pro Bowl tight ends. Mac Jones threw 3 passes in a game and got a win. Trevor Lawrence can't do that. Trevor Lawrence does not have the team around him. If you were to put targets in an open field and ask people to, or not people, ask the 2 quarterbacks to make specific throws and, roll out, be on the move, I would probably say as a pure passer, maybe Trevor Lawrence is better just because of his overall skill set and athleticism. But in the NFL, it's not about that. You win games being successful, hitting the receivers in stride, scoring touchdowns, limiting turnovers, and winning as a team. Trevor Lawrence isn't going to do that until he has a better staff around him in terms of an overall cast. I keep saying staff. I mean overall cast, because staff is obviously the coaching staff in which they've revamped since firing Urban Meyer. He needs better receivers. He's going to need James Robinson to stay healthy. He's going to need the tight end group to be successful and be consistent. The offensive line's going to have to keep him upright. I mean, the defense is going to have to get stopped so that they can put the ball back in his hands. And Jacksonville's got to win football games. Trevor Lawrence's stats last year were 3,600 yards, 12 TDs, and 17 picks with a completion percentage of 59.6. For God's sakes, his QBR was 33.5. He was sacked 32 times. Mac Jones on the New England Patriots threw for 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and had a completion percentage of 67.6 with a QBR of 50.9. The QBR aspect isn't much better, but still higher. He was sacked 28 times. The numbers are better. So it's not stupid to say that Mac Jones is a better NFL quarterback when that is the season that we have to go off of. Until Jacksonville makes drastic changes to this roster, I'm going to continue to sign with Mac Jones. I mean, if you look at it on paper, I'm just going off of it. Bill Belichick, Doug Peterson, Bill Belichick. Receiving core of New England and the tight end room versus the receiving core and tight end room over in Jacksonville. It's New England. Defense, New England. Offensive line, you can make an argument because Jacksonville actually went out and signed a lot of depth out there for their offensive line, and I'll let Kyle allude to who's got the better offensive line out there compared to New England because I don't know their offensive line. But I would side with the fact that Trevor Lawrence was sacked more, so I'm going to give that aspect again based off the numbers that I see here. Mac Jones. Why is it so outlandish to say that Mac Jones might have a better future? Because he was the 15th pick instead of the first pick? No. Because he was not a good quarterback at Alabama and Trevor was a better quarterback in Clemson? We all know that he was, but Mac Jones was successful in his time with Alabama. He won a national championship. So did Trevor. Mac Jones threw for, I think, 45, 50 touchdowns in one season. What are we talking about right now? The numbers are not that different, but in the NFL, they make a mass difference. So what I'm saying is, to say Mac over Trevor at this moment in time is not ludicrous. It's factual.